What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. So, we have another major tragedy that has happened here in Texas, and we have another massive tragedy about to happen at the border here in Texas as well, here in just a matter of a few days. Take a listen here to what Governor Greg Abbott has to say here on both of these, and then you'll get to see some statistics here on what the American people have to say. Take a listen here.
Joining us now, Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott. Governor, welcome back to Fox News Sunday. We'll get to the border in just a minute, but we want to start with that tragic shooting.
Well, Shannon, obviously this is just devastating. Texans are hurting today, and the people who are hurting the most, obviously, are the families of the victims, families who've lost a loved one, families who have a loved one who is injured. And our main priority right now is to help and support those families in the Allen community. And I'll be going up to Allen later today to begin the process of providing hope and healing. But I got to tell you that there are questions that are lingering that the families want answers to. And that is, why did this happen? Why did the government do this? How did this happen? And I know that those families need an answer as quickly as possible. And then the last thing I'll tell you, and I just want to reiterate my gratitude and the gratitude of all Texans for the swift response of that police officer. You had just a single police officer who had to confront that dangerous gunman and did the right thing by taking swift action to eliminate the gunman. And we are grateful for that officer's heroism.
Absolutely, truly a hero, the very definition. As happens with these shootings, it almost immediately turns to the political conversation about gun reforms. One state senator pointing the finger at you and the GOP there in Texas, saying there are loose and dangerous gun laws. I want to put up a poll that we just had on possible gun reforms here in the U.S. This is just out from Fox News. When you ask people what they would favor, background checks for guns, enforcing existing gun laws, legal age to 21, requiring mental health checks, flagging people for danger to self, all of those score at more than 80%.
I want to bring those statistics back up here in a second so you can see them on the screen. First, I want to thank anybody who's in law enforcement or in the armed service here in our country because, God bless you, or any friends or family who are in there, because it's a very dangerous job. Me and my wife, we love to watch On Patrol, which used to be called Live PD. If you watch that, it really gives you an appreciation for how dangerous a job it is. And remember here, there's more guns in our country than there is people in our country, just so you guys know. And there's also more mass shootings here per there's more mass shootings than there is days of the year now in our country. Okay. So it's not like they can ban all the guns or anything like that. There's just way too many of them out there. But as you can see here on the screen, this is a poll, and this is a poll from Fox News, okay? A typically Republican leaning channel, right? And again, I have no problems showing, stuff from either side, left, right, or center, right? But this is a typically, Republican leaning channel, which is, typically, more, you guys get the idea, right? But 87% are for more background checks for guns, and 81% are for more enforcing existing gun laws. 81% are for legal age to 21 to buy any guns. 80% are for requiring mental health checks to buy any gun. 80% are for flagging people for a danger to their self. 77% would be for requiring a 30-day waiting period. I think that would be a very good one because this way it prevents people from going out and buying something and doing something in the heat of the moment. 61% are for banning what they call assault weapons. Of course, we know that's kind of a slang term, but 61% are for that. And 45% more citizens carrying guns. And I mean, the thing is that anybody can pretty much go and buy a gun if they want to. But let me know your thoughts here on this. This kind of gives you a pretty eye-opening, you know, look into how America thinks. A vast majority of Americans actually want a little bit more gun reform. I mean, mental health checks, legal age of 21 to buy a gun, background checks, enhanced background checks for guns. Because remember, there are some cases where you can just get a gun without background checks, like gun shows and stuff like that. Now, let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Now, of course, when you talk about stuff like this, you always get some people that go to the extreme and say they're going to take away all of our guns. You're going to always get some comments like that, which of course is the a complete opposite extreme of that, which would never happen. We're talking about just a little bit of guardrails on that. Taking away all of the guns in America would never happen. There's more guns in America than there are people in America. So again, take this with a grain of salt, not go overboard. We're just talking about they can barely even pass the tiniest of gun reforms, let alone take away all the guns in America. It's never going to happen. So just we're talking about reasonable conversation here. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. How do we just kind of and again, I get the whole conversation of it's not guns that kill people, it's people that kill people. But how do you curb this down a little bit so that it's somewhat safer here? Because this is just happening way too much. And if you look at what happens in other countries, what happens in America with these mass shootings is far and away 100 times worse than it is in any other country in the world. So let me know your thoughts.
Are there things that you would consider in Texas or that you think Congress should consider at a federal level along those lines?
Well, on the federal level, as you know, some laws were passed last year to begin to address this. At the state level, listen, this is something that we've been grappling with over the past year. And there are some potential easy solutions, such as passing laws that we're working on right now to get guns out of the hands of dangerous criminals and to increase penalties for criminals who possess guns. But Shannon, we need to recognize a reality. What we've seen across the United States over the past year or two, and that is an increased number of shootings in both red states and blue states. Shannon, we've seen an increased number of shootings in states with easy gun laws as well as states with very strict gun laws. I think that the state in which the largest number of victims have occurred this year is in California, where they have very tough gun laws where 11 people died. And so one thing that we can observe very easily, and that is there has been a dramatic increase in the amount of anger and violence that's taking place in America. And what Texas is doing in a big-time way, we are working to address that anger and violence by going to its root cause, which is addressing the mental health problems behind it. We know that Texas had been lagging in addressing mental health for years, and that's why over the past 3 sessions, we've added almost $25 billion to address mental health. We're in the waning days of a session right now where we will be adding even more funding, about $3 billion, to address mental health needs in the state of Texas, especially in rural Texas and especially for children in schools. People want a quick solution. The long-term solution here is to address the mental health issue. And one last thing about this, Shannon, and that is it truly seems today that America is more divided than we've been in decades. And we got to find a way in this country where we can once again reunite Americans as Americans and come together as one big family. And in that regard, find ways to reduce violence in our country.
Yeah, I mean, there are certainly divisions over any number of heated topics, including this one. I want to get to the border because Title 42 lifts this week. We've known for months, for years, the border has been a problem. DHS Secretary Mayorkas was down there this week. He says the border's closed. It will remain closed after Title 42. He says there's only so much he can do because Congress is not getting the job done. But the White House is also pointing the finger of blame at you. A senior administration, as part of a memo that came out Friday, said this: We're expediting the immigration process to quickly remove individuals who don't have a lawful basis to stay. Governor Abbott is instead busing those migrants to cities all across America, making the work harder. Your response?
Well, first of all, the reason why we are busing those migrants across the country is because small little towns on the border like Del Rio and Eagle Pass, they have no capacity to deal with the number of people coming across the border. And we have to relieve the congestion in those small communities and bus them to larger communities, by the way, communities that are sanctuary cities. That said, Shannon, it must be pointed out also, everything that you just said, that Mayorkas said, is just a flat-out lie or total ignorance. He says that the border is closed. Everybody in America knows that the border is not closed, it's more open. Also, you said that this is an issue that we've been grappling with for years, and there's no clear answers from the federal government. That is incorrect, Shannon, because the fact of the matter is, 3 years ago, we had the fewest border crossings in decades because the federal government under President Trump was able to put into place very easy policies such as the Remain in Mexico policy, the Title 42 policy, end, catch, and release, and building a border wall and sending a message that the country was closed. And that's why we had the fewest border crossings in decades. Only when Biden came in and eliminated all those policies and put down and welcome Matt to the entire world, that the border is now open, that we suddenly have the chaos that's caused solely by policies put into place by Joe Biden.
I want to quickly ask you about the 1,500 active duty troops that are going to head to the border. You've said it's really not going to make it a difference. Republicans have said it's theater. But you welcomed the help back in 2018 when President Trump sent it. So what's different this time?
Because President Trump sent soldiers to the border to secure the border. President Biden is sending 1,500, quote, soldiers to do paperwork. And that's not going to secure the border. We need not 1,500 soldiers. We need 15,000 or 150,000 to secure the border because of the open border policies of the Biden administration. This is a day late and tens of thousands of soldiers too few.
Yeah, the border and Title 42 ending here in a matter of a few days is an absolute mess, an absolute nightmare. There is a bipartisan Senate proposal which could extend a Title 42-like new bill or new statute. I'll link you to that video here that I just did, which could save the day if it could pass. Democrats would have to vote for it, which is kind of put up or shut up time for the Democrats to do this. I'll link you to that video here now. You can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell icon to our channel after you subscribe so you don't miss out on any new videos. It's completely free to do so. I'll keep you up to date here with everything happening here in our country on a daily basis. Also, thanks for liking and sharing our videos. Here's some videos you should watch next. Here's the video here on the Senate potentially extending a Title 42 border policy. And here is President Biden talking about invoking the 14th Amendment, which is pretty crazy. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.